Going on.
Can you hear us, Joe?
I can now.
All right, cool. Guys, we got Coach Brady here, available to answer questions you guys have, so the floor is open.
I'll start it, Joe. Hi.
Finish it.
I guess just to start, we're going to get the elephant out of the room here. I guess, do you want to take us through that 4th and 1 call at the end of the game?
Yeah, we 4th and 1 had an opportunity to just continue to advance the drive, and we had a call that we felt confident with, and we didn't execute. So obviously, I think it's easy to kind of look back and always want plays that they didn't work, but we felt confident in the play. The play didn't execute, so we have to be better, and I have to be better.
Joe, how do you, Jonathan Alexander, hope you're doing well.
Bye-bye.
I don't know how often you've had things go wrong like that before in your career. I'm sure you've had them. But how do you usually approach that when you have a call of that magnitude? How do you usually approach that and go back and address those things?
Well, look, I think, I think there's a couple different mindsets. Throughout every game, there's going to be plays that, might not necessarily work. And I think sometimes it's you can't always confuse the quality of a decision by the outcome. And it doesn't make the decisions right or wrong. But I think there's some plays in the game that you can call and you might get a first down, but it wasn't the look you anticipated. Might have been a bad play call at the time, but you get the first down. So was it a good play call? And I think at the same time, there's also times where, you call it and you think it's a perfect play call. Everything works out and it's not. So I think, you got to have that what's next mentality that you hear Coach Rule talk about. And that's kind of the mindset that we have as an offense. It didn't go in our favor. We didn't execute, but we have a great opportunity, a divisional game this week. And so we're ready to bounce back.
Coach Brady, Vashti here with Carolina Blitz. Overall, how would you summarize your first experience in the booth as an offensive coordinator in the NFL?
Wasn't good enough. We're in a results-oriented business, and the Las Vegas Raiders scored 34 points, and we didn't score more than them. So at the end of the day, that's all I care about is going 1-0 each week. And so we didn't get the job done. So I wasn't good enough, and we as an offense, we were not good enough.
Hey, Joe, the Bucks did a pretty good job bottling up Christian last year in the meetings. I know that wasn't your system, obviously, but as you looked at that tape, what did they seem to do well against 22?
Look, I think the Tampa Bay Bucks and Coach Bowles, his defense, they come off the bus with pressure. I know it's an offensive coach, so you shouldn't, but they're fun to watch on tape. I think you see them fly around. They're physical. They have two, very athletic linebackers, on the inside I'm speaking. They got guys that can come off the edge. And so, it's a huge challenge for us this week, in all assets, in the front to the linebackers of the secondary. And so, it's exciting though. But yeah, they're very, very aggressive and a lot of pressure.
Joe, it's Miles Simmons. With Shaq Barrett, is he just a guy that you really need to know where he is on every single play?
Yeah, absolutely. When you get 19 and a half sacks, you don't get that by just showing up on the field. He's going to, our guys are going to have, a huge challenge against him. I think he comes off the edge. He has a variety of moves, and I think we're going to have to come ready to play, or else, every single snap, we're going to feel him. And so I think our offense line are up to the challenge.
Joe, you had the 4th and 1 conversion earlier in the game that was successful. How often does that come up when a situation is so similar? And how do you not get in your own head of, well, this worked last time, but that's what they're going to expect, so I'm going to do this, but maybe they're going to expect I'm going to change. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you kind of get out of your own head in that situation?
Honestly, I like to think, calling a game, I'm not in my head a lot. I think I'm very calm, cool, collected. I going into the game, I think you have a plan and you try to execute it. And so, just because something might have worked in the game doesn't mean you can't go back to it. And just because, you're sitting in the situation, you might be like, oh, hey, they're expecting this. Sometimes you can outthink yourself. And so, I think it's one of those, you go back to the decision to get that, and, people might not be talking about it at all. They're not thinking about, hey, why'd you do that? So I don't think too much in the game. I'm just calm, cool, collected, just calling it. And, obviously we got to execute better.
I was wondering, you said, last week wasn't good enough. What do you do this week to fix that? Like, what specifically are you going back on or fixing so you don't have the issues you had last week?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of it just comes down to the attention to detail and in the preparation. I think, at practice, there's things that we got to make sure that we focus on, specifically situationally. And then, just throughout the game plan, I think early in the season, there's times where you don't get a lot of opportunities playing games against other people. And so, things come up, you might get different defenses, you might get things that you might not necessarily have seen on tape, and you got to be able to adjust. And so, this week, I think, we're kind of diving a little more into the details of, possibilities that we can be getting from this defense. And, and then we all got to be better from a game planning standpoint, and I got to be better calling the plays.
Joe, is there
Joe
anything
David
you
Newton,
identified
ESPN.com.
in terms of, is there anything you identified just in terms of what went wrong with those first couple 3 and outs in the second half?
Yeah, play calling. I'm always, one thing you guys always learn about me, man. I think it's full ownership. I'm the offensive coordinator, and so when things don't go well, it's on me, and when things do go well, it's on the guys. And so I didn't put our players in the best position to have success on those 2 drives, and those are the drives that I thought about. After the game immediately, we had an opportunity coming out in the middle 8. We finished with a field goal. I got to come out and put points on the board and move the football. And so I was excited to see how our guys responded, down 2 touchdowns, 2 scores, put together a 17-play drive in that. But yeah, I got to be better on those drives. Got to be better coming out of the second half.
Hey, Joe,
Joe
Scott
David
Callahan.
Newton, ESPN.com. Wanted to ask you, how has Russell Okung helped you with his leadership kind of advance the things you want to do? I mean, how's he made your job easier?
It's great. One, having your blind side protected for your quarterback makes life a lot easier. But just his leadership, his presence, when Russell talks, everybody listens. And so even as an offensive coordinator, I lean on him a lot, seeing things that he's, what he's seeing. We talk about the pass rush moves that, the guys that he's facing, what he's thinking. And, yeah, you get a guy with, he's a veteran with his leadership. I think you got to rely on him a lot. He's been great for our team, great for our offense, great for myself.
Hey, Joe, Scott Callahan with Sports Illustrated. Matt told us earlier that when you look back at the tape, there's a lot of times where the guys just needed to hold on to their blocks for just maybe a second longer, and Christian could have maybe broke a couple. Is that something that you saw too? And kind of what did you see from Chris Manhertz and Ian Thomas in all facets of the offense? Yeah,
You turn on the tape with Christian McCaffrey, and any given run, things can happen, great things can happen. And so, we as an offense have to do a better job of just playing through the whistle, just knowing that, he can turn a 1-yard gain into an 80-yard gain. He can break a tackle. He can, he keeps running. He plays so hard. And so, we have to take pride and take accountability, and not, as an offensive player, my guy will not make the tackle. And so that's kind of the mindset that we kind of have going into it. And, I thought our tight ends came ready to play. I thought that they helped us in the run game. They made plays in the pass game. Ian had 2, had important catches on the basic, and, in the run game, we ran behind them and we had a lot of success. So, I was pleased with how with their performance.
Joe, how would you assess Robbie's game last week? And then also a related question. There have been some in the past observers who've said he's had a limited route tree. Your response to that?
I think you saw Robbie do a lot of different routes on Sunday. So I think that's that could be the furthest from the truth when it comes to Robbie. I think there's not a route he can't run. And so obviously, he had a big play on the touchdown. I thought he ran a great double move, and and the best thing about it is when he caught it, he made a guy miss and was able to finish it. And so he started off the game well. He started off the game with a nice 10-yard completion. And so, we feel, I was pleased with his performance, and look forward to build on that.
Joe, I would imagine you grew up watching Tom Brady and the Patriots, and I'm curious what maybe in your formative years, kind of learning the game and learning offense, if you watched them carefully, if you picked up anything from what Tom and Bill were doing in New England.
Without really studying it, but they find ways to win football games. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks, if not the of all time. And so, at the end of the day, that, like I said earlier, that's what we play the game for. We try to go 1-0, and, in his time in New England and him as a quarterback, that's what he's found ways to do that over and over again. And so, without getting into the scheme element, that's the most important thing. And I think people feel that.
Joe, Scott Fowler from the Charlotte Observer. Getting back just for a second, and I don't want to belabor this, but to what you're talking about with ownership, and I appreciate what you said there. But Matt Rule, right after the game, said, "Don't blame anybody but me for that call." And it sounds like you're probably would say not, that. But what I guess I'm interested in is just how y'all do short yardage calls, and in the future how you will do them. I mean, was that purely your call, or do you, because you had a timeout, I think, do you consult or with him, or is that just purely you've got the keys, you call what you want?
Yeah, look, I think when it comes to ownership, that's the organization that we have. I think from the top down, I think everybody's going to take ownership for the results that have happened from our head coach down to our players and myself. And when it comes to short yardage, I think that it's a game to game, it's a game to game thing. It's just depending upon the defenses that you're getting and the offenses that you feel like that you have, and whether depending upon who's getting the ball. I think a lot of that has to do with the defense that you're getting. And but from a decision standpoint, we make those decisions going into the games. We have plays down and kind of get the flow of the game, and it's not something that you kind of second guess. You talk about it, and my thoughts there. We're going to get the first down, and we were going to keep our offense on the field and try to win that football game. And obviously, we didn't get that job done.
Hey Joe, but you did the call though. I mean, you made that call.
Yeah, I make the calls, offensive coordinator. Yes, sir.
Hey, Joe, before the season and during training camp, you talked a lot about tempo. How did you feel about the tempo that you guys utilized in week 1 and specifically at the end of the first half and then again in that 4-minute drill at the end of the game? Yeah,
look, I think, I'm never going to be pleased with the tempo. I think that's just the coach and me. Even if it feels fast to people, you're always going to want to be faster. But I did think we were able to utilize tempo to our advantage in this past game. I thought the way that the 2-minute drive worked. I thought ending it in score with a field goal. Obviously, you want a touchdown, but ending with a field goal, and then that last drive. Obviously with 5 runs, but the mindset of is that's we can wear down the clock. We can finish with the ball in our hands. And score with no time left or not much time left. So it wasn't the mindset of, hey, we got to get up and just start throwing the ball. We felt like we had time to continue to do what we were kind of doing in the second half, and obviously we didn't. Like I said, we didn't really execute that.
So Phil was on.
Sorry, Joe. Just to follow up on that, when you say it could always be faster, what do you mean by that specifically? Is it like getting up to the line faster, less time in the huddle, calling play? Like, what does that mean exactly?
All encompassing. I think it's all predicated off the play and the situations, but we have that kind of all built in throughout the game plan, and so depending upon the play, I think that determines the tempo.
Joe, there's been a lot of talk this week, and Phil was kind of addressing it too, that playing in these quiet stadiums can be advantageous to the offenses and making the calls along the line, and even the quarterback hearing defensive calls. Were there any situations Sunday where you saw that happen or heard that happen on the sets with Teddy?
No, that's a great question. No, nothing that comes to mind. Obviously, being in the box, it's almost like business as usual for myself. But nothing that at least through conversations with Teddy that kind of came up that he noticed, or maybe he did, just something we haven't talked about. That's a good point.
You guys have any more questions for Joe? All right.
Appreciate
the time.
Awesome. Thank you.